Hey guys, welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andrew Seegers, and this time we're joined by Derek Bender, Ash Paulson, and Josh Thomas from the BitBlock to discuss our impressions of Super Mario Maker. So let's get started. Alright guys, so we found out more about Super Mario Maker from E3. We all played a ton of it, including you, Ash, super recently, where you got to play a ton of it at Comic-Con. Now, we haven't really discussed it since the show much, so I thought we should get our thoughts out there and talk about this game finally. So I'll start things off real quick. This is part of my game. This is my game of E3. They've added so much to it. There is like an infinite amount of depth to this game. And I was just super excited to see that they added warp pipes and doors. Like, there's so much potential here. I mean, I'm really excited. I love everything about this game. So...
Yeah, it's funny because when it was first announced, I definitely liked the idea, but for a while, found it very hard to get excited for it. I was never negative about it. I just kind of felt like, oh, okay, whatever, it's going to be a Mario level maker. But after seeing it and playing around with it at E3 and seeing just the complete crazy potential there, this is absolutely going to be a game that I get totally sucked into and just spend hours like cuddled up on my couch making Mario levels. And yeah, I'm definitely in the zone of being excited about this, so that is very, very exciting.
Well, I can't believe I'm saying this, Josh, but I actually 100% agree with you. That's exactly how I feel.
Well, wait, you don't always agree with me? What do you mean?
I mean, I honestly, I could not have cared less about it at E3. I didn't dislike it, I just didn't care. And then over the year, they really showed the depth into which they were really, going with this game and just showing how much you could actually do with it and showing that, the 4 different skins, essentially, 4 different, games that you can skin or make your levels after. And, the fact that they were doing these, newer enemies in the 8-bit style, like, I just didn't care, and now I'm all about it, and I can't wait for it. It's looking really great.
I think it finally hit that sweet spot for a lot of people where it just seemed too simple. The first time we all saw it was like, yeah, you could do something with this, and there were some cool ideas, but all we were really seeing was, let's stack enemies up as much as possible and see what we can do there. And yeah, that's kind of cool, but it's not quite as inventive as what we saw at this E3 with crazy level designs, the doors, the mazes that you can create, just all these different aspects that you can really do with the tool set. And it's all so simple. Like it's quick and easy to put this together. You can plan it out if you want to, fool around with it until you get it just right for what you want to do. And I think those added in those pre-made levels that we got to try really show off what the game can do. So I think what's happening for a lot of people is like, ooh, I want to make this kind of level so I can challenge my friends with it and see if they can actually get through it. And I think it's everybody's so familiar with Mario that it's easy for us to imagine what kind of level we could make. Because I tried out Little Big Planet when it first came out on PS3. Because I was like, oh, cool, I can make my own levels, I can try to do that. And I just, the tool set was just so confusing to me.
It's complicated, yeah, it's not elegant.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was just so hard to figure out. And with Mario Maker, we're so familiar with the games. The tool set is really easy to use. Like, this is simplicity itself to get in there, make a pretty halfway decent level, and go. I think that's why we all just love it so much.
Well, and Mario Maker is like one of the few games that actually makes great use of the gamepad, too.
Yeah, definitely. Anytime you make a game that's all about letting the player make their own levels, how simple and intuitive the interface is what it will live and die by. So, like, more recently, I'm a fan of Disney Infinity, and obviously that's a lot about making your own levels and stages. But, man, that is a pain to navigate. It's slow, it's clunky, there's a million things spread all over the place, and it's like, I don't know where to find certain things, and it's really not a joy to use. But Super Mario Maker, like, just the gamepad and the touchscreen, and okay, this is where the bricks are, this is where enemies are, and it's just so simple to, like, use that really anybody can do it. And, yeah, it's just a joy to actually move stuff around.
Well, it's so brilliant how they basically lifted the interface from Mario Paint. I mean, that was simple back then. That worked perfectly back in the day, 20 years ago. And it works just as fine now.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
It was a really cool idea.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, at least for me, there are 2 gold standards for level creation editor. The first one being Sound Shapes, and the second one being Mega Man Powered Up. I think both of those really kind of show how simple and intuitive a level designer interface can be. And Super Mario Maker absolutely looks like it's going to at least match, if not surpass, both of those games. So I'm not usually the kind of person who would create my own level. I just like to play what others create, but this is simple enough to where, I did make my own stuff in Mega Man Powered Up and Sound Shapes. Not a whole lot, but I did, and I can see myself doing that again in Super Mario Maker. So yeah, I'm definitely excited about that aspect of it as well.
Mm-hmm. They kept the interface so clean with it too, because you have all these lists of items and enemies and stuff that you can pick out and use, but you can also just change them with like that simple like shake 'em option.
Oh yeah,
it removes so much clutter from the interface, so you're not just endlessly going through lists. It's like, where is it that I want? It seems like you could find pretty much everything you need very quickly with only going through a few menus, yet you have all these options to choose from, and it really is elegant in the way they've made the interface, and you really have to praise it.
Yeah, I think another good sign of a game being great in its level design is that you can make a level in Super Mario Maker that is actually every bit as good as an official Mario level. Like, it's not like, oh, you can make levels, but they're not actually going to be as detailed or as interesting as the levels that the full game has. You see that a lot in games. But with this, you absolutely can make levels that are as good or better than official 2D Mario levels, which I think is amazing.
Like, I'm really excited to see the levels that the game comes pre-built with, like the pre-built adventure they're going to have in the game.
Yeah, there's like 100, didn't they say? They give us a number.
Something like that, exactly. Like, we're looking for, like, that could be its own standalone Mario game, basically. And the fact that it's not, it's just part of this awesome tool where you can make your own, Mario levels it's just so cool. It's really exciting. Like, I mean, again, I said before, I think it's surprising it took them this long to make this game, but the fact that it's finally happening and they're doing it right is awesome.
Well, and another super, really, really impressive aspect of this game is that I believe, and what I played, I think it's true that each of the 4 games represented in Super Mario Maker does in fact use that game's original physics.
Right.
So that's the coolest thing.
That is awesome, right?
Yeah.
So you can make these completely different feeling adventures, basically, because each of the Mario game does feel different from the next.
Yeah, the physics in Super Mario Brothers 1 are completely different than those in Super Mario World, which are completely different from the other 2 games as well, and I think that's one of the best aspects of this game, is that they could easily have just made it play like a good Mario game, but they all play the same. But no, they really did choose to recreate the physics of each one, and I think that really shows how passionate they are about this project.
Yeah, and that's not easy to do, by the way. Like, they could not have used old code to just port it into this game. They had to redo it and really study the way those games felt.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
So is there anything missing from the game that you would like to see?
Yeah, I definitely have one thing. And Nintendo talked about this. The game's director, I believe, talked about this. They originally discussed maybe giving us some totally original art styles that we'd never seen before. And I think that would have been something that really put the cherry on top of Super Mario Maker. It could be, yeah. But just seeing, like, maybe, I don't know, watercolored art style or a clay art style or yarn. Seen a lot of yarn lately. Why not add that in here? But, yeah, completely different art styles, I think, would have made the game feel a little bit more new. I mean, it still feels new, but we are looking at games that look very old in a way. So seeing new art styles, I think that would have been something that's really, really cool.
That's true.
The one thing I wanted was, and it's not realistic at all because of the difference between the games, but Super Mario Brothers 2. I really wanted Mario 2 represented in this game, and I would have loved to be able to make my own Mario 2 levels, but again, because of the nature of the project and what they're going for, they get a pass. I understand why Mario 2 isn't part of it.
I mean, at the least, they could put Mario Land 2 in.
Yeah, that would be really cool too. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I'd say mine would be more boss options. So far, all you've really seen is Bowser or Bowser Jr. I would have liked to seen recreate the Koopa Link boss fights in Super Mario Brothers 3 and World and New Super Mario Brothers. Have some way to put Reznor in there. That sort of thing. Just really. Almost create a boss rush type thing would be really cool to see them do, and just being able to play with these bosses and finding new and inventive ways to utilize them. I mean, I don't know. I think it would be really cool to see what people would come up with when they have those tools available as well.
Yeah, I kind of agree. That's actually maybe the only really missing piece is multiple boss fights, which is a part of every Mario game represented here, except for the original. So all we have is Bowser and Bowser Jr. Whereas every other Mario game had the Koopalings as well. So it is a little bit weird that you aren't able to like have an escalation where you build up to Bowser, right? Well, I guess now that I think about it, it doesn't really matter because you can't even build full Mario adventures really, or at least you can't share them,
Right.
which is something I was hoping for. Maybe and they could add that down the line, the ability to share full Mario adventures, but as is, you can only share individual levels one at a time. So.
I also kind of wish that you could make your own warp zones, or like your own secret exits that would link to a later world in your adventure. Yeah, that would be so cool.
Yep.
One thing we haven't quite touched on yet that I'm personally super excited about is the Amiibo support. This is one of maybe the best Amiibo support I've seen in a game yet, in my opinion. I love the idea that even though they don't, affect actual gameplay, maybe they shouldn't because you have to buy Amiibo to use them, you do essentially get to play as a ton of different characters, each with their own jumping sound effects and level complete music. And it's cool. It's great seeing like an 8-bit version of Wii Fit Trainer jumping around the screen. And I don't know, like I have not been able. I asked every single person I have talked at Nintendo that I've talked to while playing Super Mario Maker. I have not gotten confirmation on whether the Mega Man and Sonic Amiibo will be compatible with this, but I sure hope they will because that would be the coolest thing.
That would be.
Yeah, it is really great support. I agree. It's just it's something so simple, yet I think it really does make you feel like owning all those Amiibo is actually kind of worth it.
Yeah, and it's not so integral to the gameplay that if you don't own them, you feel like you're missing out on something that gives you some sort of advantage. It's just something that's completely cool and completely optional.
Another thing that I think would be really cool, and this is maybe getting ahead of myself here, but I feel like this game would work on the new Nintendo 3DS, so if we see this ported to the new Nintendo 3DS down the line, I think that would be very, very cool.
And that could be when they roll in the Game Boy themes for the portable
Yeah.
system,
Yeah,
right?
Very true.
Yeah, I mean, it's celebrating, what is this, celebrating the 30th anniversary of Super Mario Brothers?
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah.
we really don't have anything on the 3DS to celebrate that, so it seems like if they could bring this over to 3DS, that would definitely be great, and it would obviously introduce it to an even larger audience. So
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, and speaking of which, I just hope this marks a bright future for future Maker games. I want Zelda Maker and Mario Kart Maker. Where are those?
they did comment on Zelda Maker. They said that would be very hard to do.
I think that might have been from our interview with them.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. See, I pay attention to what you guys are doing. I just don't remember that you were the ones that said it.
Speaking of DLC for a bit, I actually have to say I would support DLC for this game that kind of worked in the same way or a similar way that New Super Mario Bros. 2's DLC worked, except this would be a lot better because this is a much better game than New Super Mario Bros. 2. But if they wanted to release additional packs of pre-made levels, like people, made by Nintendo employees, I'd buy them. Because the 100 that we've already, or some of the 100 that we've already seen are already so fun and make such inventive use of what you can do in Mario Maker that I would totally buy level packs, more pre-made levels.
But people will just recreate those levels for free, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna say you'll get that,
point.
but they'll be free.
Yeah.
They'll probably just be free downloads. Yeah.
Good point.
Which is why I think that'd be a great way to introduce, okay, we added this item into the game. Here's how you can use them, so here's a 50 level pack.
That would be cool,
That would
actually.
be really cool,
That'd be a really good way of doing it.
Here's a quick question to you guys. What kind of levels are you going to make? Are you going to go for really trying to anger people with how difficult they are? Or are you going to go for something that's maybe a little bit more quirky and typical Mario, but really well designed?
Well, let me put it this way, Josh. I'm going to design every level as if I'm making it for you.
Oh, God in heaven.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Derek.
Go ahead, Ash.
I feel like there's already such a glut of super hard Mario and Mega Man, ROM hacks out there. I mean, there's going to be no shortage of people making super hard, almost impossible to complete levels, and I kind of get bored by that. So I'm going to skew more toward the inventive and creative, and not necessarily difficult, maybe challenging, but not super hard.
Yeah, I'm pretty much there with Ash. I'm trying to think of interesting gimmicks to play with. One of the ideas I've had is have it like a chase scene where the level starts and all of a sudden Bowser pops in riding a Koopa shell and he's chasing you throughout the entire level. I think stuff like that would be awesome. A lot of fun. Just finding different ways to change up the way you typically play a Mario game.
One of the ideas I want to go with is I want to make a level that is designed to be like a zoo, where all the little Mario enemies are in little cages with the bricks and stuff.
That's pretty cool, actually. That's a really good idea.
But if Andre's playing it, I'm going to put tons of Bob-ombs and about 50 Bowsers right off the bat. And,
jeez.
Have a P-switch in the beginning. If he hits it, all the animals are released.
Yeah, there you go. Brilliant.
That sounds fun.
I'm
What would you
ashamed to
Ash?
say. I'm ashamed to say that I'm not the most creative person, so I don't have a level idea yet. But I think once I get the game, I'll just play around with it and see how it goes.
Absolutely.
Alright, well, I think that wraps up for us here, so thanks guys for watching. If you liked our discussion, make sure to like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, which you can find links to in the description below. It's a good way to keep updating everything we post. And Josh, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you at?
Sure, they can find me at the BitBlock on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, and Patreon.
Alright, cool. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and bye.